Right. Hold up a second, guys. Oof. Hold up. No, the volume's coming from, the screen share, so hold up.
Pushing that limit, right? So I thought that was smart.
No, the volume's coming from,
But where to get the middle of the ground? I mean, that's practical, actually. I think having something legal where there's less interpretation.
Sorry.
is also going to be very important.
No, it's
and
live.
to how they define themselves.
So
do you think they've talked
bad.
about that enough on the campaign trail so far? It's actually interesting, especially considering what you just said, because I know that a lot of liberals have a perspective that, as well as conservatives, that there are issues, let's take abortion, for example, where, you know, it's just impossible to reach a middle ground. Some issues that people feel that there's nothing to come together on. You either are or you aren't. As we talked about, again, for example, Bernie Sanders, have a perspective that is well.
Alright, cool.
Quote
Alright,
unquote
cool.
radical.
I'm just double checking that stream works properly.
There is no reason to meet you in the middle. I want my way, or, you know, I don't want to hear it at all.
In that regard, I'm actually really excited about people like Pete Buttigieg because they kind of serve as this bridge between the Democratic Socialists and the kind of more established Democratic Party. And he's talked quite a bit about how he has people in his constituency who sharply disagree with him, but he's able to negotiate with them. He's able to serve in their interests.
Alright, this is boring to me, so sorry for anybody that enjoys this, but I don't.
Child care facility that's just 20 miles away. I know that his team has been prepping for weeks. It's why he hasn't been making the rounds at other media stops. He also has a lot that I think he needs to explain potentially and maybe express regret for. And I think those contrasts are really going to stand out when you're standing next to someone like Pete Buttigieg, who, you know,
he's also been in hot water too this week.
Yeah,
on some similar issues.
It's funny.
So is there a contrast there? I'm not quite sure, Michael. I heard a deep sigh coming out.
No, I agree with everything.
I think on foreign policy, there's a contrast with Pete and Joe
There's the
Biden.
touchy-feely man himself.
Race, I think that's going to be something that you're going to see a
Biden.
contrast between him and Kamala Harris. Everyone stands to, I think, be attacking Biden. He is the front runner here, and he is the person that everyone's going to be gunning for.
No, I agree, and I think.
Yeah, honestly, they're correct though. These commentators, like, in my opinion, the only two people that have a chance, now somebody might stand out in this debate, but I doubt it, but the only two people that have a chance against Trump are going to be Biden and Sanders, and they better stand out in this debate. Because last night, none of those people were even contenders. Maybe, like, one of them might be a contender for a vice president ticket, but other than that, nobody's got a chance.
How is she going to handle being in the hot seat? Look, I think that Kamala has the challenge of high expectations. And so she is, according to the new AP poll, the #1 candidate that people want to learn more about, right? So people are very interested.
Kamala Harris, I think, has high expectations, but so did Warren, and Warren was terrible. So we'll see how it goes.
Campaign. It was very smooth. She had 20,000 people in Oakland. It is not easy to build an event with that many people to open your campaign. So I think that she has both. She has the challenge of both introducing herself to the American public for folks who haven't seen her, and also, you know, putting that substance out there to go toe-to-toe with an Elizabeth Warren. But I think that, you know, she's somebody that you have to see for yourself in order to really judge. You can't go based on what other people say. I hadn't met her until very recently, and it's really different when you're actually in the room or when
What
you're...
was different?
Because she's smaller when you meet them. You're talking about them. Yes. Everyone's smaller. Because you're normally seeing politicians on television. So when you meet them, they're always smaller, especially the women. But in addition to that, she has presence.
Okay, so why does that matter?
She has presence. She's very
Okay.
confident. I'm waiting for her to say something like, "I fully intend on winning this election." That's one of the lines that she gets that sort of sparkler in her eye when she says it with conviction. She's not in the race just to raise her profile. She's here to win.
Which is interesting because I think she's someone who could actually stand to gain tonight.
Yeah,
Someone who people are watching.
I expect her to do very, very well. I mean, to the points that Zerlina made, every single time we've seen her in a setting where she's debating someone or she's questioning someone, she stands out the most. And I think what's interesting about Kamala is when you think about black women. Black women seeing Kamala Harris as someone who empowers them. That's very, very important. And we
To a very
can't
important
underestimate
voting bloc,
that.
right?
Absolutely.
Right.
I wouldn't underestimate it.
And just finally, one thing that we've heard a lot from voters, but that we didn't touch on tonight, was the economy. I mean, something we heard from the other candidates last night was their intention to show how an economic plan under a Democratic president could beat that of Trump's. How could the candidates tonight do that?
Well, that's where I think Biden, again, has some explaining to do. He did make those remarks that were obviously widely criticized and picked up about working with segregationist Democrats. But during those same remarks, he also said that nothing would change for this.
Sorry, but I'm not going to give commentary until the debate starts. This is just too boring. They're doing it for me.
They wouldn't be paying more money. They wouldn't be subject to a wealth tax that a lot of the other candidates are pushing for. And that's where I think someone like Bernie Sanders has the opportunity to shine, at least in a certain age group potentially, because, again, he does have this multifaceted approach to building the economy with his student debt plan, with his wealth tax. And I think that he is unparalleled on the stage in terms of offering that spectrum of policies.
With less than 1 minute to go until these candidates, they are already on the stage, but when they begin, strategically, do you think it's going to be more important for the candidates to address perhaps some of their shortcomings or the evolution of their ideas, or do you think it's going to be more important for them to begin with a brand new plan for America?
I think they need to show how they're better than Donald Trump and how they can defeat him. Simple.
Brand new plan for America.
I think they need to show how they're better than
Sorry,
Donald Trump
I'm
and how
resetting
they can defeat him. Simple.
So tonight is about Trump. All right, guys, thank you so much. And this is the moment we've been waiting for. We are about to see the candidates take the stage. Stay right here because we are headed straight to Miami.
All right.
Good evening, I'm Lester Holt, and welcome to night 2 of the first Democratic debate in the 2020 race for president.
Good evening, I'm Savannah Guthrie. Last night we heard from 10 candidates, and now 10 more take the stage.
And again tonight, we'll be joined in the questioning by our colleagues, Jose Diaz-Balart, Chuck Todd, and Rachel Maddow.
The candidates are in position, so let's get started.
Tonight,
Please don't ask terrible questions
Senator
again.
Michael Bennett, former Vice President Joe
Touchy-feely.
South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg,
He's.
New York Senator Kirsten
I have some
Gillibrand,
hope for
California
Pete.
Senator Kamala
I have zero
Harris,
hope for her.
former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper, Vermont
He's not going to do
Senator
anything. Bernie Sanders has a
California
chance,
Congressman
for
Eric
sure.
Swalwell, author Marianne Williamson,
I don't think
and
a
former
lot of
tech
these.
executive Andrew Yang. From NBC News,
I don't think a lot of these people have a chance. I think the people that have the biggest chance is possibly Pete, but I doubt it. I don't really think he has any chance. I think it's gonna be Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, just like showing up in this debate, but we'll see.
America tonight, we continue this spirited debate about the future of the country, how to tackle our most pressing problems, and getting to the heart of the biggest issues in this Democratic primary.
Tonight we're going to talk about healthcare, immigration. We're also going to dive into the economy, jobs, climate change as well.
And some quick rules of the road before we begin, and they may sound familiar. 20 candidates qualify for this first debate. As we said, we heard from 10 last night, and we'll hear from 10 more tonight. The breakdown for each night was selected at random. The candidates will have 60 seconds to answer answer, 30 seconds for any follow-ups.
And because of the large field of candidates, not every person is going to be able to weigh in on every topic. But over the course of the next 2 hours, we will hear from everyone.
And we love our audience, but we'd like to ask them to keep their reactions to a minimum, and we're not going to hold back in making sure the candidates stick to time. So, with that business taken care
Yeah,
of,
because you
we're
totally
gonna
held
start
them to
today
time last
with
time.
Senator Sanders. Good evening to you.
No.
You've called for big
That's
new
fine.
government benefits like universal health care and free college. In a recent interview, you said you suspected that Americans would be, quote, delighted to pay more taxes for things like that. My question to you is, will taxes go up for the middle class in a Sanders administration? And if so, how do you sell that to voters?
Well, you're quite right. We have a new vision for America. And at a time when we have 3 people in this country owning more wealth than the bottom half of America, while 500,000 people are sleeping out on the streets today, we think it is time for change, real change. And by that I mean that health care, in my view, is a human right. And we have got to pass a Medicare for all single-payer system. Under that system, by the way, vast majority of the people in this country will be paying significantly less for health care than they are right now. I believe that education is the future for this country. And that is why I believe that we must make public colleges and universities tuition free and eliminate student debt. And we do that by placing a tax on Wall Street. Every proposal that I have brought forth is fully paid for.
Senator Sanders, I'll give you 10 seconds just to answer the very direct question. Will you raise taxes for the middle class in a Sanders administration?
People who have health care under Medicare for all will have no premiums, no deductibles, no co-payments, no out-of-pocket expenses. Yes, they will pay more in taxes, but less in health care for what they get.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Bennett, we're going to get to everybody, I promise, but let me just, Senator Biden, promise everybody's going to get in here, promise. Vice President Biden, Senator Sanders, as you know, has been calling for a revolution. Recently, in remarks to a group of wealthy donors, as you were speaking about the problem of income inequality in this country, you said, we shouldn't, quote, demonize the rich. You said, nobody has to be punished, no one's standard of living would change, nothing would fundamentally change. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that is, look, Donald Trump thinks Wall Street built America. Ordinary middle-class Americans build America. My dad used to have an expression. He said, Joe, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's being able to look your kid in the eye and say everything's going to be okay. Too many people who are in the middle class and poor have at the bottom fall out under this proposal. What I'm saying is that we've got to be straightforward. We have to make sure we understand that to return dignity to the middle class, they have to have insurance that is covered and they can afford it. They have to make sure that we are in a situation where there's continuing education and they're able to pay for it. And they have to make sure that they're able to breathe air that is clean and they have water that they can drink.
Okay.
Donald Trump has put us in a horrible situation.
Look,
we do have enormous
America does not have, also I'm going to be talking over the debate, America does not have a problem with clean water and clean air. I mean, in some places it does. For example, Detroit, I believe it is. You know, you can get air that's kind of smoggy, but that's just due to the area and all the factories in the area, which is unfortunate and needs to be worked on, but this isn't like a nationwide problem. It's a worldwide problem that we should definitely put.
Responsibility to explain how they will pay for every proposal they make along those lines.
Well, let me tell you something. I hear that question, but where was that question when the Republicans and Donald Trump passed a tax?
I just want to close off by, it's a worldwide problem that we need to work on, but not for specifically America. We're kind of fine.
At least $1 trillion to the debt of America, which middle-class families will pay for one way or another. Working families need support and need to be lifted up, and frankly, this economy is not working for working people. For too long, the rules have been written in the favor of the people who have the most and not in favor of the people who work the most, which is why I am proposing that we change the tax code. So for every family that is making less than $100,000
a year, they will receive a tax credit that they can collect up to $500 a month.
Okay, this is actually crazy. This is so much better than last night already. Because she has a plan.
Appeal that tax bill that benefits the top 1% and the biggest corporations of America.
Okay, she actually has a chance now because she came out with a plan right out the gate, which a lot of previous
in 2020
people have
if they
not.
embrace socialism, as you put it. You were booed at the California Democratic Convention when you said that.
That's because
Only one
socialism is
candidate on
garbage.
this stage, Senator Sanders, identifies himself as a democratic socialist. What are the policies or positions of your opponents that you think are veering towards socialism?
Well, I think that the bottom line is if we don't clearly define that we are not socialists, the Republicans are going to come at us every way they can and call us socialists. And if you look at the Green New Deal, which I admire the sense of urgency and how important it is to do climate change, I'm a scientist, but we can't promise every American a government job. If you want to get universal health care coverage, I believe that health care is a right and not a privilege, but you can't expect to eliminate private insurance for 180 million people, many of whom don't want to give it up. In Colorado, we brought businesses and nonprofits together. We got near universal health care coverage.
Okay.
We were the first state in America to bring the environmental community, the oil and gas industry, to aggressively address methane emissions. And we were also the first place to expand reproductive rights on a scale basis, and we reduced teen pregnancy by 54%. We've done the big progressive things that people said couldn't be done. I've done what pretty much everyone else up here is still talking about doing.
Governor, thank you. Senator Sanders, I'll give you a chance to weigh in here. What is your response to those who say nominating a socialist would re-elect Donald Trump?
Well, I think the responses at the polls, last poll I saw had us 10 points ahead of Donald Trump, because the American people understand that Trump is a phony, that Trump is a pathological liar and a racist, and that he lied to the American people during his campaign. He said he was going to stand up for working families. Well, President Trump, you're not standing up for working families when you try to throw 32 million people off the health care that they have, and that 83% of your tax benefits go to the top 1%. That's how we beat Trump. We expose him for the fraud that he is.
Okay. It's not your turn.
The debate we're having in our party
Or
right now
maybe it
is
is.
confusing because the truth is there's a big difference between capitalism on the one hand and greed on the other. And so all the things that we're trying to change is when companies care more about profits when they do about people. So if you're talking about ending gun violence, it's the greed of the NRA and the gun manufacturers make any progress impossible. It's the greed of the insurance companies and the drug companies when we want to try to get health care as a right and not a privilege. So there need not be disagreement in the party because in truth, we want healthy capitalism. We don't want corrupted capitalism.
Thank you. I want to be fair to all the candidates.
Agreed.
Thank you. Senator Bennett, you have said, quote, it's possible to write policy proposals that have no basis in reality. You might as well call them candy. Were you referring to any candidate or proposal in particular when you said that?
Was that directed to me?
Yes, that was a quote.
That sounded like me. Thank you.
It was you.
I appreciate it.
When you don't know that you said
First of all,
something.
I agree completely with Bernie about what the fundamental challenge we're facing as a country is. 40 years of no economic growth for 90% of the American people. 160,000 families in the top 0.1% have the same wealth as the bottom 90%, and we've got the worst income inequality that we've had in 100 years.
Can we stop talking about income inequality? Kamala Harris is smiling because she knows she's got this in the bag. Or at least this issue, because she's actually got a plan.
We need to get to universal health care. I believe the way to do that is by finishing the work we started with Obamacare and creating a public option that every family and every person in America can make a choice for their family about whether they want a public option, which for them would be like having Medicare for all, or whether they want to keep their private insurance. I believe we will get there much more quickly if we do that.
But wait,
Bernie, if I could just finish, Bernie mentioned that the taxes that we'd have to pay, because of those taxes, Vermont rejected Medicare for all.
Senator,
I'm going to talk
healthcare at length, Senator, but for the moment, my colleague will say, let's continue the question.
I wrote the part in Senator Sanders' bill. I wrote the part in Senator Sanders' bill that is the transition, which merges what the two senators said. Because the truth is, if you have a buy-in over a 4 or 5 year period,
a lot of
you
talk.
move us to single payer more quickly.
Senator, we will get to this. We will get to this. Before we do, I want to say hello and good evening, well, not just to Mayor Buttigieg.
Buenas noches, gracias de invitarnos.
Gusto verlo, caballero. Many of your colleagues on
Oh my
stage
gosh,
support
what's
for
this thing
college.
with talking
You do
in
not.
Spanish?
Why not?
Sure. So college affordability is personal for us. Chastity and I have 6-figure student debt. I believe in reducing student debt. It's logical to me that if you can refinance your house, you ought to be able to refinance your student debt. I also believe in free college for low and middle income students for whom cost could be a barrier. I just don't believe it makes sense to ask working class families to subsidize even the children of billionaires. I think the children of the wealthiest Americans can pay at least a little bit of tuition, and while I want tuition costs to go down, I don't think we can buy down every last penny for them. Now, there's something else that doesn't get talked about in the college affordability debate. Yes, it needs to be more affordable in this country to go to college. It also needs to be more affordable in this country to not go to college. You should be able to live well, afford rent, be generous to your church and Little League, whether you went to college or not. That's one of many reasons we need to raise the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour.
Jose, I've got $100,000 in student loan debt myself.
Let me get to you.
We can't count on the people who've been in government for the last 30 years, who were around when this problem was created, to be the ones to solve it. It's going to be the next generation, the 40 million of us who can't start a family, can't take a good idea and start a business, and can't buy our first home. This is the generation that's going to be able to solve student loan debt. This generation is ready to lead.
Mr. Yang, your signature policy is to give every adult in the United States $1,000 a month, no questions asked.
That's right.
I think that's like $3.2 trillion a year. How would you do that?
Sorry?
How would you do that?
Oh, so it's difficult to do if you have companies like Amazon, trillion-dollar tech companies paying literally zero in taxes while they're closing 30% of our stores. Now, we need to put the American people in position to benefit from all these innovations in other parts of the economy. And if we had a value-added tax even half the European level, it would generate over $800 billion in new revenue, which combined with the money in our hands, it would be the trickle-up economy from our people, families, and communities up. We would spend the money and it would circulate through our regional economies and neighborhoods, creating millions of jobs, making our families stronger and healthier. We'd save money on things like incarceration, homelessness services, emergency room health care, and just the value gains from having a stronger, healthier, mentally healthier population would increase GDP by $700 billion. This is the move that we have to make, particularly as technology is now automating away millions of American jobs. It's why Donald Trump is our president today, that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And we're about to do the same thing to millions of retail jobs, call center jobs, fast food jobs, truck driving jobs, and on through the economy.
Sir, if I get you understand a little bit better, so you're saying $1,000 a month for everyone over 18, but a value-added tax, so you can spend that $1,000 on value-added tax?
Well, the value-added tax would end up, you'd still be increasing the buying power of the bottom 94% of Americans. You have to spend a lot of money for a mild value-add tax to eat up $12,000 a year per individual. So for the average family with 2 or 3 adults, it'd be $24,000 to $36,000 a year.
Okay, Congressman Swalwell, I want to talk a little bit about what Mr. Yang is talking about, and you just actually mentioned it. Many Americans are worried that things like self-driving cars, robots,
Andrew Yang
drones,
looked like a
artificial
little bit
intelligence will
of an
cost them
idiot,
their
just a
jobs.
little bit. But
what would you do to help people get the
he's
skills
not really a
they
contender
need to
anyways,
adapt
so it's
to
fine.
this new world?
We must always be a country where technology creates more jobs than it displaces. I've seen the anxiety across America where the manufacturing floors go from 1,000 to 100 to 1. So we have to modernize our schools, value the teachers who prepare our kids, wipe the student debt from any teacher that goes into a community that needs it. Invest in America's communities, especially where places where the best exports are people who move away to get skills. But Jose, I was 6 years old when a presidential candidate came to the California Democratic Convention and said, it's time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans. That candidate was then Senator Joe Biden.
Joe Biden was right when he said it was time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans 32 years ago. He's still right today. If we're going to solve the issues of automation, pass the torch. If we're going to solve the issues of climate chaos, pass the torch. If we're going to solve the issue of student loan debt, pass the torch.
This guy wants a vice president ticket with Joe Biden.
Would you like to sing a torch?
Dude, he wants a VP ticket so bad. He knows he can't win this. Eric Spoll.
We have to do is make sure that everybody is
prepared. I'm gonna make notes of this.
For an education. The fact is that that's why I propose us focusing on schools that are in distress. That's why I think we should triple the amount of money we spend for Title I schools. That's why I think we should have universal pre-K. That's why I think every single person who graduates from high school, 65 out of 100 now need something beyond high school, and we should provide for them to be able to get that education. That's why there should be free community college, cutting in half the cost of college. That's why we should be in a position where we do not have anyone have to pay back a student debt when they get out. They are making less than $25,000 a year. Their debt is frozen, no interest payment until they get beyond that. We can't put people in a position where they aren't able to go on and move on. And so, folks, there's a lot we can do, but we have to make continuing education available for everyone so that everyone can compete in the 21st century. We're not doing that now.
Senator Sanders,
As the youngest guy on the stage, I feel like I probably ought to contribute to the generation.
It's part of Joe's generation.
I'm all for
Part of Joe's generation. Let me respond.
Before we move on,
The issue, if I may say, is not generational.
please.
The issue is not generational. The issue is who has the guts to take on Wall Street, to take on the fossil fuel industry, to take on the big money interests who have unbelievable influence over the economic and political life of this country.
Senator Harris, I'm so sorry. We will let all of you speak. Senator Harris. Senator Harris. Please, we will let you all speak. Senator Harris.
Can't afford to wait for evolution on these issues.
Okay, guys, you know what? America does not want to witness a food fight. They want to know how we're going to put food on their table.
Oh! Honestly, that's great, though. That's a good roast. That's a good roast. Dude, Kamala, honestly, is in a good position right now.
The issue that is at play in America today, and we've all been traveling around the country, I certainly have. I'm meeting people who are working 2 and 3 jobs. You know, this president walks around talking about and flouting his great economy, right? My great economy, my great economy. You ask him, well, how are you measuring this greatness of this economy of yours? And he talks about the stock market. Well, that's fine if you own stocks. So many families in America do not. You ask them, how are you measuring the greatness of this economy of yours? And they point to the jobless numbers and the unemployment numbers. Well, yeah, people in America are working. They're working 2 and 3 jobs. So when we talk about jobs, let's be really clear. In our America, no one should have to work more than 1 job to have a roof over their head and food on the table.
Thank you very much.
You've all expressed an interest in talking about healthcare. So let's talk about healthcare. And this is going to be a show of hands question. We asked a question about healthcare last night. It spurred a lot of discussion, as you know. We're going to do it again now. Many people watching at home have health insurance of their employer. Who here would abolish their private health insurance?
Oh, it's the same question. Come on.
All right. Kristen Gillibrand, Senator Gillibrand.
So no, it's my turn.
Go ahead.
So this is a very important issue. So the plan that Senator Sanders and I and others support, Medicare for All, is how you get to single payer. But it has a buy-in transition period, which is really important. In
Kirsten, I think, wants to be a latch-on for Sanders.
2-to-1 Republican district. I actually ran on Medicare for All, and I won that 2-to-1 Republican district twice. And the way I formulated it was simple. Anyone who doesn't have access to insurance they like, they could buy in at a percentage of income they could afford. So that's what we put into the transition period for our Medicare for All plan. I believe we need to get to universal health care as a right and not a privilege to single payer. The quickest way you get there is you create competition with the insurers. God bless the insurers if they want to compete, they can certainly try. But they've never put people over their profits, and I doubt they ever will. So what will happen is people will choose Medicare, you will transition, we will get to Medicare for All, and then your step to single payer is so short. I would make it an earned benefit, just like Social Security. so that you buy in your whole life. It is always there for you, and it's permanent, and it's universal.
Senator, your time is up. I want to put that same question to Mayor Buttigieg.
Yeah, we've taught, look, everybody who says Medicare for all, every person in politics who allows that phrase to escape their lips has a responsibility to explain how you're actually supposed to get from here to there. Now, here's how I would do it. It's very similar. I would call it Medicare for all who want it. You take something like Medicare, a flavor of that, you make it available on the exchanges.
Wait, did you just say a flavor of that?
Right, that will be not only a more inclusive plan, but a more efficient plan than any of the corporate answers out there. Then it will be a very natural glide path to the single-payer environment. But let's remember, even in countries that have outright socialized medicine, like England, even there's still a private sector. That's fine. It's just that for our primary care, we can't be relying on the tender mercies of the corporate system. This one's very personal for me. I started out this year dealing with the terminal illness of my father. I make decisions for a living, and nothing could have prepared me for the kind of decisions our family faced. But the thing we had going for us was that we never had to make those decisions based on whether it was going to bankrupt our family because of Medicare. And I want every family to have that same freedom to do what is medically right, not live in front of
your time is complete. Vice President Biden, I want to put the question to you. You were one of the architects of Obamacare, so where do we go from here?
Look, this is very personal to me. When my wife and daughter were killed in an automobile accident, my two boys were really very badly injured. I couldn't imagine what it'd be like had I not had adequate health care available immediately. And then when my son came home from Iraq after a year, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he was given months to live. I can't fathom what would have happened if, in fact, they said, by the way, the last 6 months of your life, you're on your own. We're cutting off. You've used up your time. The fact of the matter is that the quickest, fastest way to do it is build on Obamacare, to build on what we did. And secondly, make sure that everyone does have an option. Everyone, whether they have private insurance, employer insurance, or no insurance, they, in fact, could buy in the exchange to a Medicare-like plan.
Obamacare wasn't that glamorous. Joe Biden is literally all he's running on is that he was a vice president for Obama. That's all he's running on. That's all he's got going for him.
We must move now. I'm against any Democrat who opposes take down Obamacare and any Republican who wants to get rid of it.
Let me turn to Senator Sanders. Senator Sanders, you have
Obamacare was nice, but it's not what it's cracked up to be.
We know it, and replace it with a government-run plan. None of the states that have tried something like that, California, Vermont, New York, has struggled with it, have been successful. If politicians can't make it work in those states, how would you implement it on a national level? How does this work?
Listen, I find it hard to believe that every other major country on earth, including my neighbor 50 miles north of me, Canada, somehow has figured out a way to provide health care to every man, woman, and child, and in most cases, they're spending 50% per capita what we are spending. Let's be clear. Let us be very clear. The function of health care today, from the insurance and drug company perspective, is not to provide quality care to all in a cost-effective way. The function of the healthcare system today is to make billions in profits for the insurance companies. And last year, if you could believe it, while we pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, and I will lower prescription drug prices in half in this country, top 10 companies made $69 billion in profit. They will spend hundreds of millions of dollars lying to the American people, telling us why we cannot have a Medicare.
I just have to follow up there. How do you implement it on a national level? How do you implement it on a national level, given the fact that it's not succeeded and other states have tried?
I will tell you how we'll do it. We'll do it the way real change has always taken place, whether it was the labor movement, the civil rights movement, or the women's movement. We will have Medicare for all, when tens of millions of people are prepared to stand up and tell the insurance companies and the drug companies that their day is gone, that health care is a human right, not something to make huge profits off of.
Ms. Williamson, this is a question for you. Excuse me, I'm addressing the question, Ms. Williamson. We've been talking a lot about access to health insurance.
He's never talked this whole time.
The pressing concern is the high cost of health care. How would you lower the cost of prescription drugs?
Well, first of all, the government should never have made a deal with the big pharma that they couldn't negotiate. That was just part of the regular corruption by which multinational corporations have their way with us. You know, I want to say that while I agree with, I'm with Senator Bennett and others, but I agree with almost everything here. I'll tell you one thing. It's really nice that we've got all these plans, but if you think we're going to beat Donald Trump by just having all these plans, you've got another thing coming. Because he didn't win by saying he had a plan. He won by simply saying, make America great again. We've got to get deeper than just these superficial fixes, as important as they are. Even if we're just talking about the superficial fixes, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a health care system in the United States. We have a sickness care system in the United States. We just wait till somebody gets sick, and then we talk about who's going to pay for the treatment and how they're going to be treated. What we need to talk about is why so many Americans have unnecessary chronic illnesses, so many more compared to other countries. And that gets back into not just the big pharma, not just health insurance.
Oh yeah, anytime we go for life.
Chemical policies, it has to do with environmental policies, it has to do with food policies, it has to do with drug policies, it has to do with environmental.
Senator Bennett, a question for you. You want to keep the system that we have in place with Obamacare and Build Out. You mentioned that a moment ago. Is that enough to get us to universal coverage?
I believe that will get us the quickest way there. And I thought Vice President was very moving about this, and Mayor Pete as well. I had prostate cancer recently, as you may know, and that's why I was a little late getting in the race. The same week, my kid had her appendectomy out, and I feel very strongly that families ought to be able to have this choice. I think that's what the American people want. I believe it will get us there quickly. There are millions of people in America that do not have health insurance today because they can't, they're too wealthy. They make too much money to be on Medicaid. They can't afford health insurance. When Senator Sanders says that Canada is single payer, there are 35 million people in Canada. There are 330 million people in the United States. Easily
That's
the number
true.
of people on a public option, it could easily be 35 million. And for them, it would be
true.
Medicare for all, as Mayor Buttigieg says, but for others that want to keep it, they should be able to keep it. And I think that will be the fastest way to get where we need to go. Also, I will say, Bernie is a very honest person. He has said over and over again, unlike others that have supported this legislation, over and over again, that this will make illegal all insurance except cosmetic, except insurance for, I guess that's for plastic surgery. Everything else is banned under the Medicare for all proposal.
I'd like to go a little longer there, but obviously, Senator Sanders, you got a response. Senator Sanders, you got a response.
You know, Mike, Medicare is the most popular health insurance program in the country. People don't like their private insurance companies. They like their doctors and hospitals. Under our plan, people go to any doctor they want, any hospital they want. We will substantially lower the cost of health care in this country because we'll stop the greed of the insurance companies.
On this issue, we have to think about how this affects real people. And the reality of how this affects real people is captured in a story that many of us heard, and I will paraphrase. There is anyone in America, a parent, who's seeing that their child has a temperature that is out of control, calls 911, what should I do? And they say, take the child to the emergency room. And so they get in their car, and they drive, and they're sitting in the parking lot outside of the emergency room, looking at those sliding glass doors while they have their hand on the forehead of their child, knowing that if they walk through those sliding glass doors, even though they have insurance, they will be out $5,000 deductible when they walk through those doors. That's what insurance companies are doing.
I was just in the emergency room, and I'm telling you,
thank you.
we fight health insurance companies every single week. We stand in line and pay expensive prescription drugs. We have to have a healthcare guarantee. If you're sick, you're seen, and in America, you never go broke because of it.
Okay. A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you proposed in one form or another.
Although, who are you thanking for? Thank you for your service.
So people can see. Raise your
I was
hand
also
if your
joking,
government
but
plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
yeah.
Let me start with you, Mayor Buttigieg. Why? Mayor Buttigieg,
Okay.
why?
Because our country is healthier when everybody is healthier. And remember, we're talking about something people are given a chance to buy into. In the same way that there are undocumented immigrants in my community who pay. They pay sales taxes. They pay property taxes directly or indirectly. This is not about a handout. This is an insurance program. And we do ourselves no favors by having 11 million undocumented people in our country be unable to access health care. But of course, the real problem is we shouldn't have 11 million undocumented people with no pathway to citizenship. It makes no sense. And the American people agree on what to do. This is the crazy thing. If leadership consists of forming a consensus around a divisive issue, this White House has divided us around a consensus issue. The American people want a pathway to citizenship. They want protections for dreamers. We need to clean up the lawful immigration system, like how my father immigrated to this country. And as part of a compromise, we can do whatever common sense measures are needed at the border. But Washington can't deliver on something the American people want. What does that tell you about the system we're living in? It tells you it needs profound structural reform.
Vice President Biden, I believe you said that your health care plan would not cover undocumented immigrants. Could you explain your position?
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon.
I believe at the show of hands you did not raise your hand. Did you raise your hand?
No, I did.
Okay, sorry. So you said they would be covered under your plan, which is different than Obamacare.
Yes, but here's
Can you
the thing.
explain that change?
Yes, you cannot let, as the mayor said, you cannot let people who are sick, no matter where they come from, no matter what their status, go uncovered. You can't do that. It's just going to be taken care of, period. You have to. It's a humane thing to do. But here's the deal. The deal is that he's right about three things.
I don't know though, because they're illegal.
They, in fact, contribute to the well-being of the country.
They should
but they
have.
also, for example,
If they're
they
undocumented,
increase the
then
lifespan of Social Security because they have a job.
why do
paying
they
Social
get
Security
benefits?
tax.
Because then
That's what they're doing. It's increase the lifespan. They would do the same thing in terms of reducing the overall cost of health care by them being able to be treated.
If they
and
still
not
get benefits,
wait till
then
they're
what's the
in
benefits of
extremis.
being a
The
citizen
other thing
over
is, folks,
not being
look,
one
we can
in
deal with
America?
these insurance companies. We can deal with the insurance companies by, number one, putting insurance executives in jail for the misleading advertising, what they're doing on opioids, what they're doing paying doctors to prescribe. We could be doing this by making sure everyone who is on Medicare, that the government should be able to negotiate the price for whatever the drug costs are. We can do this by making sure that we're in a position that we in fact allow people.
I just want to address that point.
Actually, hold off a minute. We need to take a short break here. We got a lot more we need to talk to all of you about, so stick with us. We're just getting started. We'll be back with more from Miami right after this.
Biden's a nice guy. I mean, he stopped. A lot of people were just kept talking. But well, they were probably screaming at him, honestly, because of that break, but still. Alright, so Biden not honestly really stands out. Marianne Williamson, she's not gonna go anywhere. She's just an author. Like, she's written books, like, let me read off the titles. Return to Love, Illuminata, The Law of Divine, I'm not gonna click on it. A Woman's Worth, and A Course in Weight Loss. So, like, I don't know why she's running, but then again, Trump ran, I guess you could say. He ran as kind of a businessman, and that's all he was running off of. And this one guy, Andrew Yang, is also just running off of a tech executive. So, I don't know. But yeah, so there's that. And then somehow I had a different chat on with your stream, was trying to chat and got so confused. Yeah, it's fine, Jesse. So, yeah, Jesse, in case you didn't hear, just Marianne Williamson, I don't see why she's running. Eric Swalwell, he's just, like, latching on to Biden for a vice president ticket. Like, he was praising Biden every chance he got. Kamala, which I honestly thought going into this would have much of a plan at all, seems to have a pretty good plan for shaping up the economy and stuff, and helping families with insurance and everything. Because she came out right out the gate with statistics and, like, a legitimate plan. I think it was, families earning under like 100K I forget, it was something like that, but she had statistics and she had numbers. So yeah, she's going a lot better than. Oh, we do have a weight problem. Yeah, we do.
Also, the candidate candidates on this stage say the conditions at these facilities are perfect. On January 20th, 2021, if you are president, what specifically would you do?
We're bringing on icy1001, everybody.
That is correct. Hello, how's it going?
Immediately on
How's it going?
January 20th of 2021, I will first of all, we cannot forget
Sorry.
our DACA recipients, and so I'm going to start there. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. I will further extend
Hold up a second, I see.
deferral of deportation for their parents.
You're good?
And for veterans who we have so many who are undocumented and have served our country.
I don't think running on the economy is the best idea. That's true.
I will also immediately put in place a meaningful process for reviewing the cases for asylum. I will release children from cages. I will get rid of the private detention centers. And I will ensure that this microphone that the President of the United States holds in her hand is used in a way that is about reflecting the values of our
Yeah, so anyways, basically, I'm gonna sum up what's happened so far if you haven't been watching. So, Marianne Williamson is this lady that's apparently running, and she's an author. She's had, like, one chance to talk. She hasn't really stood out. She's been kind of, let me actually put Icy up here real quick. Give me a sec.
I will tell you. Because she has decided for that child to remain where they
Whoop,
are.
nope. Sorry.
What does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
There we go. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, so Marianne Williamson, pointless to run. Like, let me read you off some of her books. A Return to Love, Illuminata, The Law of Divine Compensation, I think. A Woman's Worth, and A Course in Weight Loss. So, I don't know why she's running.
Interesting.
And
they don't
then,
sound like very presidential books. But...
No, they don't. Eric Swalwell is literally just latching on to Biden. He's trying to get a vice president ticket. It's so obvious. He's praising him every chance he gets. Kamala actually is standing out the most to me so far. She came out, first question, she had a plan, even though it was an economy question. She still has had a plan. She didn't go out like everybody else and was like, well, the rich are, well, she did say that the rich are making too much, but she also had a plan like people that are under 100,000, make a certain amount or something like that, or something like that. And then Kirsten, the girl, the one lady running, she is latching on to Sanders and trying to get a vice president ticket with him.
Children not separated from their families, the children with their families. We have to make sure that ICE is completely...
Bernie Sanders is not standing out very much, to me anyway.
No, he's not. She's unexpected.
And we have to make sure, ultimately, that we provide not just shelter, but food, clothing, and access to medical care. Ms. Williamson.
Yes, what Donald Trump has done to these children...
Yeah, this is Williamson.
Governor, you're right, it is kidnapping, and it's extremely important for us to realize that. If you forcibly take a child from their parents' arms, you are kidnapping them. And if you take a lot of children and you put them in a detainment center, thus inflicting chronic trauma upon them, that's called child abuse. This is collective child abuse. And when this is crime, both of those things are a crime, and if your government does it, that doesn't make it less of a crime. These are state-sponsored crimes. And what President Trump has done is not only attack these children, not only demonize these immigrants, he is attacking a basic principle of America's moral core. We open our hearts to the stranger. This is extremely important, and it's also important for all of us to remember. And I have great respect for everyone who is on this stage, but we're going to talk about what to do about health care. Well, where have you been, guys? Because if it's not just a matter of a plan, and I haven't heard anybody on this stage who has talked about American foreign policy in Latin America.
Marianne Williamson not coming across too bad.
She's coming out aggressive. She's trying to be a hot shot and be remembered for it, I think.
Well, one of the worst things about President Trump...
She seems a lot more aggressive than, like, old Joe and Bernie Sanders, you know?
Yeah. She just called Trump a her. Yang looks sad because he isn't getting any time. Yeah, Yang, he got like a question earlier on, and he kind of looked like an idiot. Sort of. This Kirsten, she's just trying to get a VP ticket for Sanders. She was sucking up to him just like the other person was with Biden, Eric Swalwell.
Where you're doing within the communities, where asylum seekers are given lawyers, where there's real immigration judges,
She's trying to not make it super obvious though.
General, but appointed for life, and have a community-based system. I would fund border security, but the worst thing President Trump has done is he's diverted the funds away from cross-border terrorism, cross-border human trafficking, drug trafficking, and gun trafficking, and he's given that money to the for-profit prisons. I would not be spending money in for-profit prisons to lock up children and asylum seekers.
We had a very spirited debate on this stage last night on the topic of decriminalization of the border. If you'd be so kind, raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than across the border without documentation. Can we keep our hands up so we can see them?
Biden's like...
let's remember, that's not just a theoretical exercise. That criminalization, that is the basis for family separation. You do away with that, it's no longer possible. Of course, it wouldn't be possible anyway in my presidency because it is dead wrong. We got to talk about one other thing because the Republican Party likes to cloak itself in the language of religion. Now, our party doesn't talk about that as much, largely for a very good reason, which was we are committed to the separation of church and state, and we stand for people of any religion and people of no religion. But we should call out hypocrisy when we see it. And for a party that associates itself with Christianity, to say that it's okay to suggest that God would smile on the division of families that they have.
Oh, there you go. You did it. You did it.
Putting children in cages has lost all claim to ever use religious language again.
Oh, you did it. Dude, you did it to him. Oh my gosh. That's not...
Oh. Would you criminalize crossing the border without documents?
The first thing I would do...
Bro, you can't play the religion card like that. You just can't. You look so stupid now. Oh my gosh.
Bipartisan agreement at the very end of the campaign, at the very end of our term, to spend $740 million to deal with the problem. And that was to go to the root cause of why people are leaving in the first place. It was working. We saw, as you know, a net decrease in the number of children who were coming. The crisis was abated. And along came this president, he said he immediately discontinued that. We all talk about these things. I did it. I did it. 740 million. Second thing we have to do. The law now requires the reuniting of those families. We would reunite those families, period. And if not, we put those children in a circumstance where they were safe until we could find their parents. And lastly, the idea that he's in court with his Justice Department saying children in cages do not need a bed, do not need a blanket, do not need a toothbrush. That is outrageous.
Vice President, the Obama-Biden administration deported more than 3 million Americans. My question to you is, if an individual is living in the United States of America without documents and that is his only offense, should that person be deported?
No. Depending if they committed a major crime, they should be deported. And the president was left in his... President Obama, I think, did a heck of a job. To compare him to what this guy's doing is absolutely, I find, close to immoral. But the fact is that, look, we should not be locking people up. We should be making sure we change the circumstance as we did, why they would leave in the place. And those who come seeking asylum, we should immediately have the capacity to absorb them, keep them safe until they can be heard.
A 15-second.
But that's not how that works.
Should someone who is here without
we don't have the resources. That's the sad and honest truth. We don't have the resources. We can't just...
That person should not be the focus of deportation. We should fundamentally change the way...
Also, when we have...
Suggested, I agree with a lot of what Kamala just said. And that is, on day one, we take out our executive order pen and we rescind every damn thing on this issue that Trump has started. Number Officer, picking up on the point that Joe made. We got to look at the root causes. And you have a situation where Honduras, among other things, is a failing state. Massive corruption. You got gangs who are telling families that if a 10-year-old does not join that gang, that family is going to be killed. What we've got to do on day one is invite the presidents and the leadership of Central America and Mexico together. This is a hemispheric problem that we've got to address.
It is a hemisphere problem, that's true.
Day one? No. If someone is here without documents, and that is their only...
This is the guy that is trying to get a VP ticket with Biden.
...to be deported.
No. That person can be a part of this great American experience. That person can contribute. My congressional district is one of the most diverse in America, and we see the benefits when
Would you
people
agree that this is an extreme position,
Roger?
Yes.
Day one for me, families are reunited. This president, though, for immigrants, there's nothing he will not do.
We need to secure the border so the flow slows down and work on accepting more migrants legally. Yeah, I think it's just like kind of like, for example, we should make it like, you know, a kill, or not a kill shelter, a no-kill shelter, for like dogs and cats, you know? Like, hey, we're full, we can't accept any more, sorry, take your animal somewhere else. Kind of like that. Or take the animal to a different shelter or something like that. I mean, we just don't have enough space, and I think these living conditions are absolutely atrocious that these families are being subjected to. And I think it's partly because of ignorance, that's just my personal opinion, but I also think it's partly because we're forcing so many people in that we don't have the resources to take in. So we just need to, yeah, slow it down. Not even slow it down, I would just put it at a halt. And then also do what Sanders is doing, have meetings and, I don't know. Because the gangs are a problem. People are dying before they can get their green cards or anything.
Make decisions based on the best interest of public safety of their community. Because what I saw, and I was tracking it every day, I was tracking it and saw that the parents, people who had not committed a crime, even by ICE's own definition, were being deported. But I have to add a point here. The problem with this kind of policy, and I know it as a prosecutor, I want a rape victim to be able to run in the middle of the street and wave to a police officer and report the crime against her. I want anybody who has been the victim of any real crime to be able to do that and not be afraid that if they do that, they will be deported because the abuser will help them. It is they who is the criminal. It is wrong. It is wrong.
We're going to turn to the issue of trade now, if we can.
So we wrap up this topic about immigration. I found someone counting who had the most words spoken during this debate. Right now, Joe Biden is leading with 870, Kamala Harris 776, Bernie Sanders 693, and Pete Buttigieg with 670. The person who has spoken the least is Marianne Williamson with 191 words.
What a surprise. For an author, I thought she'd have more words, you know?
Yeah. If you speak the most, it probably means you're getting a lot of attention. For good, for better, or for worse, you know?
Yeah. I think Biden's focusing on keeping himself involved in every fight. He's being smart about this, but he's also just running on Obama. That's all he's got going for him, and it's been obvious he's just been using that.
I see my mom because I know she sees herself, because she was separated from a million people in this country. It had the most progressive DREAM Act that's ever been conceived, much less passed. It got 68 votes in the Senate. That had
I'll ask Arrow if he's coming on when it's 10.
There was sophisticated 21st century border security, not a medieval wall. And the president has turned the border of the United States into a symbol of nativist hostility that the whole world is looking at, when what we should be represented by is the Statue of Liberty, which has brought my parents to this country to begin with. We need to make a change.
Mr. Yang, let me bring you in on this, on the issue of China. You've expressed a lot of concerns about technology and taking jobs. Are you worried about China? And if so, how would you stand up against it?
Well, I just want to agree that I think Russia is our greatest geopolitical threat because they've been hacking our democracy successfully.
Hey, at least you're not saying it's Trump.
Off about it for the last couple of years, so we should focus on that. before we start worrying about other threats. Now, China, they do pilot our intellectual property. It's a massive problem. But the tariffs and the trade war are just punishing businesses and producers and workers on both sides. I met with a farmer in Iowa who said he spent 6 years building up a buying relationship in China that's now disappeared and gone forever. And the beneficiaries have not been American workers or people in China. It's been Southeast Asia and other producers that have then stepped into the void. So we need to crack down on Chinese malfeasance in the trade relationship, but the tariffs and the trade war are the wrong way to go.
Mayor Buttigieg, how would you stand up against China?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we've got to recognize that the China challenge really is a serious one. This is not something to dismiss or wave away.
Last also, who do you think the Dems will go with against? To go against Trump.
But their fundamental economic model is
Sanders or Biden. And if I had to pick a third, it'd be Harris. It's gonna be between those. And then I think they're gonna weed him out over time. I can't say for sure one person now, but I think it's one of those three.
Tariffs are taxes, and Americans are going to pay on average $800 more a year because of these tariffs. Meanwhile, China is investing so that they could soon be able to run circles around us in artificial intelligence. And this president is fixated on the China relationship as if all that mattered was the export balance on dishwashers. We got a much bigger issue on our hands, but at a moment when their authoritarian model is being held up as an alternative to ours because ours looks so chaotic compared to theirs right now because of our internal divisions. The biggest thing we've got to do is invest in our own domestic competitiveness. If we disinvest in our own infrastructure, education, we are never going to be able to compete. And if we really want to be an alternative, a democratic alternative, we actually have to demonstrate that we care about democratic values at home and around the world.
We've got a good debate so far. We're going to take a quick break here, candidates. When we come back, the questioning continues with our colleagues, Dr. Todd, Rachel Maddow. We'll be here much more with our candidates straight ahead.
Time for ad break.
I think this debate is certainly more entertaining than
it is.
It is.
Yes. If anybody watched last night's debate, regardless of whichever side you're on, you gotta admit it was trash. There was nothing interesting remotely. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a lot better. I'm kind of disappointed in Sanders and Biden's performances, if I am being honest.
All right, let's take a look at the Electoral College in 2020. The place to start, obviously, is where the last election ended, 2016. And remember, of course, by the popular vote, Hillary Clinton had almost 3 million more of those than Donald Trump. But we don't elect the president by national popular vote. We do it by the Electoral College. And there, Donald Trump had the right combination of votes in the right states, enough to win 306 electoral votes for him. So how is that map looking for 2020? Well, first of all, I think one thing you need to do, just understand how narrow that Trump path was in the Electoral College in 2016. You can start by looking at Wisconsin. Look at that margin there. Fewer than 25,000 votes separated Clinton from Trump in Wisconsin. This was a state that had not gone for a Republican in a presidential election since 1984 by a margin of fewer than 25,000 votes. Trump becomes the first in over 3 decades. He gets Wisconsin, the margin in Michigan even closer.
Something that I'm getting a lot of people in the group chat,
over Clinton again.
in the YouTube chat talk about is just the extreme positions Democrats are talking in regards to the immigration debate. I'm seeing people, one guy on Twitter says, if you don't deport those who come here illegally and you don't detain them, what do you do? This means we really have no immigration laws. It's indistinguishable from open borders. It means as soon as you illegally enter America, you're home
fine.
Free.
Which is bad because not only are people getting the benefits when they're doing stuff illegally, but also, unfortunately, people are dying because they're taking these risky routes to get in. Like, there was a photo recently that went viral of a man, and I think it was his daughter, that had drowned in the Rio Grande, and that's because they were forced to take those routes because, you know, of reasons like that. And also our inability to do certain, to hold people, and our incapability to have the capacity to hold people. Yeah, so we don't, we just straight up don't have the capacity. unfortunate.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
But I mean, with this immigration debate, we are seeing basically all the Democrats are suggesting that they let everyone who gets here and isn't a convicted criminal stay. I mean, what are you thinking in the chat, in the YouTube chat? Like, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah.
Let us know. Just like, are you like me and viewing this position of the Democrats kind of in an extreme light here?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you come into our country, we're basically going to let you stay. This is not really a country anymore. This is a free-for-all.
Yeah. Because, actually pull it up. I could be wrong. Oh, wait, whoops. Do something real quick. We still have a little bit of time. Alright, we got 15 seconds. Oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's just we don't have the capacity. And so automatically we need to lock it down and be like, we can't accept more people. And if we do know of people that are illegal immigrants and haven't done any major crimes or anything, like, you know, maybe they got a speeding ticket, but they haven't, as long as they haven't, like, been a thief or been a murderer, been a rapist, whatever, then I think it should be paramount that, like, hey, either they're detained until they get, citizenship, or it's just like we put all priority somehow into giving them citizenship, but it wouldn't be too safe. I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't be thrown in jail for it. But when you find them, well, I don't know. Maybe serve a short sentence. I think short sentence.
Some way to detain them, right?
Yeah, I think it would be a short sentence or a short detainment. But it's not going to be like a life-ruining, like 6 months in prison or something like that. You know, it'd be like maybe a week in jail, I would say. Something small, maybe probably a little longer than that. But like a month in jail, something like that. Something that's like, you know, you're going to get punished for it. But at the same time, it's not like we're going to kick you out of the country or it's life-threatening. Unless you are a criminal, then you should get kicked out.
In the last 5 years, civil rights activists in our country have led a national...
Tyler Watkins in the group chat says he thinks it's going to be one of the three mentioned, but he thinks
Yeah.
Biden will get the nomination and lose in a close election in 2020. Biden right now is the candidate that has the biggest chance of beating Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get it done. My community is in anguish right now because of an officer-involved shooting. A black man, Eric Logan, killed by a white officer. I'm not allowed to take shots until the investigation comes back. The officer said he was attacked with a knife, but he didn't have his body camera on. It's a mess, and we're hurting. And I could walk you through all of the things that we have done as a community, all of the steps that we took from bias training to de-escalation, but it didn't save the life of Eric Logan. And when I look into his mother's eyes, I have to face the fact that nothing that I say will bring him back. This is an issue that is facing our community and so many communities around the country. And until we move policing out from the shadow of systemic
Let's hope there are
racism,
no tech glitches here. Yeah.
teaches us, we will be left with the bigger problem of the fact that there's a wall of mistrust put up one racist act at a time, not just from what's happened in the past, but from what's happening around the country in the present. It threatens the well-being of every community. And I am determined to bring about a day when a white person driving a vehicle and a black person driving a vehicle, when they see a police officer approaching, feels the exact same thing, a feeling not of fear, but of safety. I am determined to bring that day about.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I could ask one question, just because I think...
Governor, I'll give you 30 seconds.
I think that the question they're asking in South Bend, I think in cities across the country, is why has it taken so long? We had a shooting when I first became mayor 10 years before Ferguson, and the community came together and we created an Office of the Independent Monitor, a Civilian Oversight Commission. We diversified the police force in 2 years. We actually did de-escalation training. I think the real question that America should be asking is why 5 years after Ferguson, every city doesn't have this level of police accountability.
Governor Hickenlooper, thank you.
I've got to respond to that. Look, we've taken so many steps toward police accountability that the FOP just denounced me for too much accountability. We're obviously not there yet. And I accept responsibility for that because
I'm
I'm in charge.
Policy, you should fire the chief.
So under Indiana law, this will be investigated, and there will be accountability for the officer involved.
But you're the mayor, you should fire the chief. If that's the policy and someone died.
All of these issues are extremely important, but there are
Ooh, we're getting some
symptoms,
fights.
and the underlying cause.
Oh, hey, Marianne, I haven't
Ooh,
seen you in a
hey,
while.
I forgot you existed for a minute there.
And in our economic system.
I know.
And the Democratic Party should be on the side of reparations for slavery for this very reason.
Oh my gosh, kill me. Please.
That the average American is a racist.
Slavery reparations are stupid.
Is woefully undereducated about the history of race in the United States.
No, alright. I'm gonna say this. I've already made a video on slavery reparations. Please go check it out on my channel. But I'm gonna mute this for a second because slavery reparations, I did a video on it. While African Americans in America, or African Americans may have gone through struggles and have experienced racism, that does not take away from the fact that other minorities and even majorities, such as white people, can experience racism as well. For example, there's a story, I forget what it was, but it was a YouTube video about this lady, this white lady that lived in a Spanish neighborhood, or a Latino neighborhood, and they made fun of her because she is the only white girl. So there's racism. Everybody can experience racism depending on the time and where they live and stuff like that. But put simply, African Americans of today have not experienced the same things that slaves have gone through.
Joe Biden said nothing wrong here.
Wait, what did he say?
With his comments about segregation.
You also worked with them to oppose busing.
He was basically making a point that he could get,
California,
that he could work with people that he disagreed with.
to integrate
Kamala Harris is just using this, what he said, to attack him here.
Every day.
Yeah.
And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General
Reparations
of
equals
California,
buying the black vote. Yeah, it does. It totally does.
All my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
Because they haven't gone through. That's unfair.
Let's hear President Biden respond here. This is a crucial moment in the debate, I would say. This is a big deal.
Mischaracterization of my position across the board. I did not praise racist. That is not true. Number one. Number two, if we want to have this campaign litigated on who supports civil rights and whether I did or not, I'm happy to do that. I was a public defender. I didn't become a prosecutor. I came out and I left a good law firm to become a public defender when in fact my city was in flames because of the assassination of Dr. King. Number one. Now, number two, as the Vice President of the United States, I work with a man who, in fact, we worked very hard to see to it we dealt with these issues in a major, major way. The fact is that in terms of busing, you would have been able to go to school the same exact way because it was a local decision made by your city council. That's fine. That's one of the things I argued for, that we should be breaking down these lines. But so the bottom line here is, look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President,
dude, everybody.
Do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America? Then,
no.
Do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local
I agree.
That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act.
She is going after Biden, man.
Dude.
There are moments in history
preserve the civil rights of all people.
I supported the ERA from the very beginning when I ran for the
30 seconds, because I want to bring other people into this.
I supported the ERA from the very beginning.
Sanders has no chance. It's these two putting it down. She's too aggressive. She's what people are going to want to go up against Trump.
I've also argued very strongly that we, in fact,
And Joe Biden's just a fan favorite.
Denying people access to the ballot box. I agree with everybody wants that. In fact, they should.
Tyler.
My time's up. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Vice President.
Dude, I like how he's actually polite and he stops when he's told to. Like the rest of these people just keep going. Biden actually stops.
On what people stand for.
So, Broderick, who do you think came on top in that exchange between and Harris? Because Harris obviously decided to go after.
I think Harris did in the sense of who debated it better and who's going to look better. But if you actually look at the facts, Biden's going to win, but I doubt the majority of people. Although, honestly, I think Tyler's right because Biden is a fan favorite. My liberal family that I have just like is like, I'm gonna vote for Biden. He sounds good. He's a nice guy. They don't, you know. So.
Yeah. I was going to make one quick comment on reparations. I agree with Tyler Washington in the chat.
Yeah.
Reparations are essentially buying the black vote. Another point is reparations are a way for Democrats to basically say that if you, to Republicans, hey, Republicans, if you don't agree with us on reparations, you're an evil, racist, sexist, homophobe, essentially.
Yeah.
It's basically a political club to bang their opponents over the head with and say, like, hey, if you're not down with reparations, you're a racist, you know?
Yeah, no.
Well, first of all, where you left off.
Because it's, like, let me just put this out there. I'm German. During World War I, I'm going to mute stream for a second. During World War I, Germans, German citizens and German street names and media and everything, they tried to silence it and they tried to change German street names due to the fact that we were against Germany in a war. This is also shown, for example, in World War II, we had the Japanese internment camps. So it obviously wasn't as bad, but they still went through hardships due to their race. Even if it's a white person, it's still, they went through hardships due to their race. So should I get reparations? No, that's stupid. I didn't go through it. Neither did African Americans of today. They haven't been slaves. Or at least I hope not.
If you want to hear more about this, you can definitely check out the video we have on the YouTube channel now. I think during that exchange, going back to that exchange between Biden and Harris, his big quote that stood out to me was, quote, I was a public defender. I did not become a prosecutor. That's taking a shot at Kamala Harris. And I don't think she expected him to come out on top like that.
Yeah, that's true.
For us to win not just the presidency, to have somebody that can run in all 50 states, but to win the Senate as well.
I actually like seeing Biden get smoked.
Policies that can be supported, like Medicare Act, so that we can build a broad coalition of Americans to overcome broken Washington, D.C. I agree with what Senator Gillibrand was saying. I share a lot of her views. We need to end gerrymandering in Washington. We need to end political gerrymandering in Washington. The court today said they couldn't do anything about it. We need to overturn Citizens United. The court was the one that gave us Citizens United. And the attack on voting rights in Shelby versus Holder is something we need to deal with. All of those things has happened since Vice President Biden was in the Senate. And we face structural problems that we have to overcome with a broad coalition. It's the only way we can do it. We need to root out the corruption in Washington, expand people's right to get to the polls, and I think then we can succeed.
Vice President Biden, 30 seconds. It does sound as if you haven't seen what's been happening in the United States Senate over the last 12 years. It didn't happen. Why?
I have seen what happened just since we were vice president. We needed 3 votes to pass an $800 billion recovery act that kept us from going into depression. I got 3 votes changed. We needed to be able to keep the government from shutting down and going bankrupt. I got Mitch McConnell to raise taxes $600 billion by raising the top rate. And as recently as after President got elected, I was able to put together a coalition of the Cures Act that billions of dollars go into cancer research, bipartisan. But sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you just have to go out and beat them. I went into 20 states, over 60 candidates, and guess what? We beat them. We won back the Senate.
Thank you.
Chuck,
Thank you.
the problem with what
Go ahead,
Vice
30
President...
seconds. Yeah, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Sometimes you do have to beat them, but the deal that he talked about with Mitch McConnell was a complete victory for the Tea Party. It extended the Bush tax cuts permanently. The Democratic Party had been running against that for 10 years. We lost that economic argument because that deal extended almost all those Bush tax cuts permanently and put in place the mindless cuts that we still are dealing with today that are called the sequester. That was a great deal for Mitch McConnell. It was a terrible deal for America.
Thank you, Senator Bennett. Go ahead, 30 seconds.
The reason why the Trump tax cut had to be passed is because they had to pay back their donors. You heard it. They actually said those words. So the corruption in Washington is real, and it is something that makes every one of the plans we've heard about over the last several months impossible. And I have the most comprehensive approach to do it with clean elections, publicly funded elections. So we restore the power of our democracy into the hands of the voters, not into the Koch brothers. We were talking about issues. Imagine, we're in Florida, imagine the Parkland kids having as much power in our democracy as the Koch brothers or the NRA. Imagine their voices carrying farther and wider than anyone else because their voice is needed.
Senator Gillibrand, I'm trying to get everybody in
President,
here.
it's the first thing I'm going to do because nothing else is possible, whether it's education or healthcare or ending institutional racism.
Thank you very much.
Sanders, I'd like to put a different
You
question.
institutional
Race has been the law of the land since 1973.
Yes.
Now that there is a conservative majority
Okay.
on the Supreme Court, several Republican-controlled states have passed laws to severely restrict or even ban abortion. One of those laws could very well make it to the Supreme Court during your presidency, if you're elected president. What is your plan if Roe is struck down in the court while you're president?
Well, my plan is somebody who believes, for a start, that a woman's right to control her own body is a constitutional right, that government and politicians should not infringe on that right. We will do everything we can to defend our Roe versus Wade. Second of all, let me make a promise here. You ask about litmus test. My litmus test is I will never nominate any justice to the Supreme Court unless that justice is 100% clear he or she will defend Roe v. Wade. Third of all, I do not believe in packing the court. We got a terrible 5-4 majority conservative court right now. But I do believe that constitutionally we have the power to rotate judges to other courts. And that brings in new blood into the Supreme Court and a majority, I hope, that will understand that a woman has the right to control her own body and that corporations cannot run the United States of America.
Hold on, I'm going to give you 10 additional seconds because the question is, what if the court has already overturned Roe and Roe is gone? All of the things you just described would be to try to preserve Roe. If Roe is gone, what could you do as president to preserve abortion rights?
Well, first of all, let me tell you this. Didn't come up here, but let's face this. Medicare for all guarantees every woman in this country the right to have an abortion if she wants it.
Thank you, Senator.
Oh, if she wants it, that sounds like a great idea. If you want to kill babies because you decided to have a teen pregnancy, you can go ahead.
By President Trump and the Republican Party. 30 states are trying to overturn Roe v. Wade right now. And it is mind-boggling to me that we are debating.
You know what's mind-boggling to me in 2019? That we're allowed to kill innocent babies in the womb.
Yeah.
I think we have to stop paying.
If they give out reparations, can we become transracial and identify as black to get some cash? Oh my god. I mean, if you wanna, do what you want.
Conversations about women's rights and compromises have been made on our backs.
I won't judge.
That's how we got to Hyde. That's how the Hyde Amendment was created, a compromise by leaders of both parties. Then we have the ACA. During the ACA negotiation, I had to fight like heck with other women to make sure that contraception wasn't sold down the river or abortion services. And so what we need to know is, imagine this one question. When we beat President Trump, and Mitch McConnell walks into the Oval Office, God forbid, to do negotiations, who do you want, when that door closes, to be sitting behind that desk, to fight for women's rights? I have been the fiercest advocate for women's reproductive freedom for over a decade. And I promise you, as president, when that door closes, I will guarantee women's reproductive freedom no matter what.
Thank you. We're moving to climate, guys. Senator Harris.
That was short.
You live in a state that is
Yeah, they really did not spend any
Dude,
time.
you spent 5 minutes on it. You talked to...
give the usual talking points, when I'm president, I will ensure that every woman has the right to choose, blah, 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 and, that's fine. If they want to give their talking points, that's fine. But they never really asked any serious questions to these candidates,
Crisis, it represents an
gosh.
existential threat to us as a species. And the fact that we have a president of the United States who has embraced science fiction over science fact will be to our collective peril.
Vitamins says Americans do not have to pay for murder.
While the embers were smoldering, the wildfires in California, I spoke with firefighters who were in the midst of fighting a fire while their own homes were burning. And on this issue, it is a critical issue that is about what we must do to confront what is immediate and before us right now. That is why I support a Green New Deal. It is why I believe on day one, and as president, will re-enter us in the Paris Agreement. Because we have to take these issues
I'm super pro global warming. I think global warming is a thing. I think we need to put as much resources as possible into solving it. But the fires in California are not directly attached to global warming. California can get very dry, and wildfires are very common in California supernaturally. They've been going on forever. Like, it's a typical thing.
You want to talk about Russia? He takes the word of the Russian president over the word of the American intelligence community when it comes to a threat to our democracy and our elections.
Thank you, Senator Harris.
These are the issues that are before us, Chuck.
I hear you.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Yeah, I think she's definitely a running candidate. Top 2, easily.
How is this going to help
She's aggressive.
impacted by climate change in the Midwest?
Well, the reality is we need to begin adapting right away, but we also can't skip the beat on preventing climate change from getting even worse. It's why we need aggressive and ambitious measures. It's why we need to do a carbon tax and dividend. But I would propose we do it in a way that is rebated out to the American people in a progressive fashion so that most Americans are made more than whole. This isn't theoretical for us in South Bend either. Parts of California on fire. Right here in Florida, they're talking about sea level rise. Well, in Indiana, I had to activate the emergency operations center of our city twice in less than 2 years. The first time was a 1,000-year flood, and the next time was a 500-year flood. This is not just happening on the Arctic ice caps. This is happening in the middle of the country, and we've got to be dramatically more aggressive moving forward. Now, here's what very few people talk about. First of all, rural America can be part of the solution instead of being told they're part of the problem. With the right kind of soil management and other kind of investments, rural America could be a huge part of how we get this done. And secondly, we got to look to the leadership of local communities. There's networks of mayors and cities from around the world who have come together, not even waiting for our national governments to catch up. We should have a Pittsburgh summit where we bring them together as well as rejoining the Paris.
Thank you, Mayor Buttigieg.
I want to bring Governor Hickenlooper into this for a moment. Governor, you have said that oil and gas companies should be a part of the solution on climate change. Lots of your colleagues on stage tonight have talked about moving away from fossil fuels entirely. Can oil and gas companies be real partners in this fight?
Well, I share the sense of urgency. I'm a scientist, so I recognize that we're within 10 or 12 years of actually, suffering irreversible damage. But guaranteeing everybody a government job is not going to get us there. So, socialism, in that sense, is not the solution. We have to look.
I don't know what you feel about climate change, Roger, but
Kendi.
I feel like there are a lot more important issues. I mean, you're hearing a lot of these Democratic candidates saying, like, climate change, we need to act immediately, and we do have to help the environment and, the way we go about our daily lives. But I think, abortion, I'm a big pro-life person.
Yeah,
abortion is
definitely
something that we need to address right away, and I think there are just many more issues, including abortion, that we need to address.
I think the top two.
Change,
Yeah, I think the top 2 issues for me are climate change first and then abortion, because I feel like, this is my personal opinion. I'm just gonna lower the volume so I can speak over him. But I think, like, with climate change, it's something we need to put all resources into, but I think a lot of people are going around it kind of the wrong way. But I still think we need to put a lot of resources into it, and also put research into it, because we don't even, I feel like we don't know how to deal with it, so we need to actually put resources into researching it, other than taking action right away. I feel like we need a lot more in that, and then we work on a solution. So, I don't know, and then, because, me personally, I feel like, with abortion, like, none of us are going to be around, not in 50 years, like AOC and a lot of other people are saying, but, like, for example, we're not going to be around in a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, 1,500, so, you know, it'll be a long time, long after we're gone, but, like, we won't be around to be talking about abortion if global warming reaches a critical point. So, I don't know.
Exporter, not only of the green economy, but economy that can create millions of jobs. But I would immediately
That's just my personal take.
Climate accord. I would up the ante in that accord, which it calls for, because we make up 15% of the problem. 85% of the world makes up the rest. And so we have to have someone who knows how to corral the rest of the world, bring them together, and get something done like we did in our administration.
Senator Sanders, I want to give you 30 seconds to follow up. And I'm
See, always running on his Obama. Have you noticed? Every time he talks about something good he's done, it's because of the Obama administration. That's all he has going for him.
I guess I agree with you in the sense, I mean, we're just hearing, like, Bernie Sanders saying, you know, climate change is going to cause irreparable damage to our climate, to our planet. It's all this extreme language with no research, just talking.
And see, yeah, it is gonna, I mean, climate change could melt the planet into a crisp. But you're not actually elaborating, you're just saying it's gonna cause irreparable damage. When? How much? You know. Okay. That's why I don't think Sanders is gonna get past primaries.
Feel the effects of climate change. Pass the torch to the generation that's inventive enough. Thank you.
Before we leave this topic, here's something you all want to weigh in on. Hold on a moment. Hold one moment.
Just trust us on this.
Somebody has a younger body doesn't mean you don't.
Oh, Mary Ann standing up for...
Hey! I forgot she existed again! But she totally shouldn't be running.
And so we're going to do it, and I think we can all work together, and maybe we can get a man on the moon. John Kennedy said...
Eric Swalwell,
he would sell his 3 beaches.
Going
oh my gosh.
Line about Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders' generation. I'm really not sure if that's fair or not. I mean, you really need to debate on issues rather than how old they are. And I guess I agree with Mary Ann in the sense that, like, you know, the whole pass the torch argument is not really valid.
Yeah.
We know that when we say we are going to turn from a dirty economy to a clean economy, we're going to have a Green New Deal, we're going to create millions of jobs, we're going to do this within the next 12 years, because I'm not interested in just winning the next election. We are interested in our grandchildren.
All right, we're going to sneak in a break in a minute, but before we go, I'm going to go down the line here, and I'm asking you, please, for 1 or 2 words only. All right, please.
Because last time the one guy said like 5 sentences.
Both healthcare and climate. And he could only get
what?
one signature issue accomplished. It was obviously healthcare. He didn't get to do climate change. You may only get one shot, and your first issue that you're going to push, you get one shot, that it may be the only thing you get passed. What is that first issue for your presidency? Eric Swalwell, your first.
All these people are going to say
Parkland, for Orlando, for every community affected by gun violence, ending gun violence.
Senator Bennett.
Okay.
Climate change and the lack of economic mobility Bernie talks about.
Senator Jim.
See, he's a latch on. Dude, he's just latching on.
Leave plan, universal pre-K, affordable daycare, and making sure that women and families can thrive in the workplace no matter who they are.
Oh, I like that. Okay,
Senator Harris.
So passing a middle class and working families tax cut, DACA, guns.
That's more than one. That's more than one.
Senator Sanders,
premise that there's only one or two issues out there. This
I'm not saying
country
there is one or
faces
two.
enormous crises.
Senator
We need
Sanders.
a political revolution. People have got to stand up and take on the special interests. We can transform this country.
Fine. Vice President Biden, your first issue, Mr. Vice President.
Look at the UK and the carbon tax. Wait.
Obama did. He's the first man to bring together the entire world, 196 nations.
Look at him.
To deal with climate change immediately.
All he's running on is Obama, Obama, Obama. Run on something else, dude. We get you the vice president.
That's all he has to run on, Obama.
It's, yeah. He's, that's the only reason he's a fan favorite for the Democrat Party.
We've got to fix our democracy before it's too late. Get that right. Climate, immigration, taxes, and every other issue gets better.
Mr. Yang.
I would pass a $1,000 freedom dividend for every American adult starting at age 18, which would speed us up on climate change.
Okay.
That's what 1,000 was.
On climate change much more clearly.
Governor Hickenlooper?
That actually is over $2 trillion a year, but he has a plan. I don't know. It doesn't sound like it'll work.
We don't re-elect the worst president in American history. And Ms. Williamson with the last word.
He wasn't the worst president in American history. Okay.
Said that her goal is to make New Zealand the place where it's the best place in the world for a child to grow up. And I will tell her girlfriend you were so on, because the United States of America is going to be the best place in the world for a child to grow up.
Ms. Williamson, thank you. You guys were close with the short, at least it was shorter response.
Not at all.
All right. C minus.
We're going to take a quick break.
Now you're grading them. Alright, look, Isaiah. Or Icy?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, so I think when they're talking about Obama again, yeah, I know, Andrew actually stuck to the one answer. Yeah, he did. He really wants that pushed through. And I think, I just don't think he's going to get out there because he's unknown. He's not going to make it. I think, but yeah, he at least stuck to that, and that's like one of his big plans, and he actually has it laid out how he wants to do it. But yeah, I don't know about you, but like, I don't like Trump, okay? I would have, I don't know. I don't know about 2016 election, in my personal opinion, was kind of crap. But, shut up. I want to talk. Alright, cool. So, I think, I don't like Trump, but he's not the worst president in American history. Like, look at somebody like, for example, Andrew Jackson. That guy did the Trail of Tears. He killed thousands of Native Americans. Children, all that stuff. Trump, I mean, well, he's, in my opinion, he's a bit immoral, and, you know, he's done some bad things, but he's not the worst president in American history. Like, there's so many other presidents that have done such horrible things, but, you know.
I think I like Trump more than you do.
Yeah,
I definitely, I mean, agree that he's definitely not like a racist. I mean, like, you know, he's not some like extreme evil figure, you know, whose policy is,
I think he's,
you know, sending us into oblivion.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. 36 years in Congress and 8 years as VP, but he has to run on Obama and what he's going to do and not what he did during that time. Yeah. Trump hasn't started any wars so far, that's good. Yeah, that's true. I mean, he could have started a war with Iran, but I don't think he's going to, so yeah.
My question for you, Roderick, and for everyone else in the chat, who do you think has won this debate so far? As we come to a close?
Put in the chat.
Online, Biden is generating a lot of heat. He's been like the center of this debate. Bernie Sanders has kind of faded. I mean, I don't think he's having a great night tonight.
Yeah.
Marianne Williamson, I think, is generating a little more buzz than
she's generating buzz, yeah.
Yeah. You know, maybe some second-tier guys, maybe Mayor Pete, Andrew Yang, Kristen Gillibrand. And I think you have Kamala Harris is generating a lot of attention. So I think the people, for me, and for that the internet is, you know, kind of focusing on are Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
they had that
definitely.
big exchange about, you know, Joe Biden's comments about segregation and stuff. I'm just curious to think to you and everyone else in the chat.
Everybody in the chat, yeah, everybody in the chat, type the name of the person you think is winning. Just like, I want to see. Everybody type it. Doesn't really matter. Just, if you agree with them or not. Just who you think is winning the debate, just based off of the debate. Put it in the chat.
Last night we had Julian Castro, the former housing secretary.
Yeah.
He got a big boost from that debate.
He did? Night. How did he get a big boost? He was garbage.
He went after what's his name?
I don't know.
The guy that spoke Spanish.
Oh, Beto O'Rourke?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one of the people on here opened in Spanish. It was Pete Buttigieg. He opened in Spanish. Hey, we're back on in 10. But yeah, I think
yeah. Jesse says Biden's stealing the debate tonight.
Biden?
I kind of agree with that. Kamala Harris went after him.
Low blow,
pretty
Miss
strong,
Harris.
and Biden actually had a decent reply to her. So Biden is probably coming out on top tonight. It's going to be a long 400 and something days until the election, though. People are going to slowly start to chip away at Joe Biden.
Yep, that's true. Yeah. All right, we're back on. Or the debate's back on, it looks like.
Tyler says low blow, Miss Harris. I definitely agree with that. She tried to go low.
That was just a fake out.
Yeah.
She missed.
Yeah, she did.
We're going to go to the issue of guns and...
Congressman Swalwell, among this field of candidates, you have a unique position on gun reform. You're proposing that the government should buy back every assault weapon in America, and it should be mandatory.
Oh my gosh.
That working, especially in states where guns
That's aggressive. That's extreme.
Keep your rifles, keep your shotguns, but we can take the most dangerous weapons from the most dangerous people. We have the NRA on the ropes because of the moms, because of the Brady Group, because of Giffers, because of March for Our Lives. But I'm the only candidate on this stage calling for a ban and buyback of every single assault weapon in America.
Oh, man.
I've seen the plans of the other candidates here. They would all leave 15 million assault weapons in our communities. They wouldn't do a single thing to save a single life in Parkland. I'll approach this issue as a prosecutor.
You know what'll save a life in Parkland?
Voted and passed background checks, but also as a parent.
Teachers with guns that the students don't know have guns. Volunteers. That's what's gonna stop things like Parkland from happening. Not taking the guns away from people.
Has seen thousands of black children killed in our streets.
People don't care about laws when they want to kill people.
And we actually look where the fire exits are. We don't have to live this way. We must be a country who loves our children more than we love our guns.
Senator Sanders, a Vermont newspaper recently released portions of an interview you gave in 2013 in which you said, quote, "My own view on guns is everything being equal, states should make those decisions."
The dangerous people aren't going to turn in the weapons they have. Yeah, exactly.
Since then, do you now think there's a federal role?
That's a mischaracterization of my thinking. Look, we have a gun crisis right now. 40,000 people a year are getting killed. In 1988, Rachel, when it wasn't popular, I ran on a platform of banning assault weapons, and in fact lost that race for Congress. I have a D- voting record from the NRA, and I believe that what we need is comprehensive
D-.
gun legislation that, among other things, provides universal background. We end the gun show loophole. We end the straw man provision. And I believed in 1988, and I believe today.
Luke, arming teachers that are voluntarily willing to be armed, not people that are like being forced to. We're not going to force teachers. It's like teachers that would be, you know, willing to take extra training, especially because it's a classroom situation. There's going to be a lot of panic and everything. But you know, yeah. Schools are gun-free zones, and yet Parkland happened. I do not think criminals are going to follow gun laws. Yeah.
I will give the United States Congress 100 days to pull their act together.
Senator Harris isn't Congress, though. That's a little bit of a problem.
And if they do not, I will take
executive
action.
It's like Congress didn't act. Well, you're in Congress.
You're in the Senate.
Check policy we've had. I will require the ATF to take the licenses of gun dealers who violate the law, and I will ban by executive order the importation of assault weapons. Because I'm going to tell you, as a prosecutor, I have seen more autopsy photographs than I care to tell you. I have hugged more mothers who who are the mothers of homicide victims, and I have attended more police officer funerals. It is enough. It is enough. There have been plenty of good ideas from members of the United States Congress. There's been no action. As president, I will take action.
Mayor Buttigieg, I want to bring you in on this, sir. A lot of discussion about assault rifles that are often shorthanded as military-style weapons. You are the only person on this stage tonight with military experience as a veteran of the Afghanistan war. Will military families...
Okay, I have a lot more respect for this dude now.
Do you believe that military families or America's veterans will,
Suddenly.
at large, have a different take on this than the other Americans who we've been talking about and who Congressman Swalwell is appealing to with his buyback program?
Yeah, of course, because we trained on some of these kinds of weapons. Look, every part of my life experience informs this. Being the mayor of a city where the worst part of the job is dealing with violence, we lose as many as were lost at Parkland every 2 or 3
had a good
years
plan for
in
that
my
yesterday. Yeah.
city alone.
Good all. Thank you,
And
Jesse.
this
Good
is
all those
tearing
gun laws in
communities
Chicago.
apart.
Oof.
If more guns
Yeah.
made us safer, we'd be the safest country on earth. It doesn't work that way. And common sense measures like universal background checks can't seem to get delivered by Washington, even when most Republicans, let alone most Americans, agree it's the right thing to do. And as somebody who trained on weapons of war, I can tell you that there are weapons that have absolutely no place in American cities or neighborhoods in peacetime, ever.
Vice President Biden, 30 seconds.
A real 30 seconds?
A real 30 seconds.
I'm the only person that's beaten the NRA nationally. I'm the guy that got the Brady bill passed, the background checks, number one. Number two, we increased that background check during the Obama-Biden administration. I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned, and the number of clips in a gun banned. And so, folks, look, and I would buy back those weapons. We already started talking about that. We tried to get it done. I think it can be done, and it should be demanded that we do it, and that's a good expenditure of money. And lastly, we should have smart guns. No gun should be able to be sold unless your biometric measure could pull that trigger. It's within our right to do that. We can do that. Our enemy is the gun manufacturers, not the NRA. The gun manufacturer.
But the NRA is taking orders from the gun manufacturer.
Okay, honestly, the smart gun thing is, I think, a really good idea.
We put some,
That's a good idea.
that asked maybe they could share some. Here's one that came from Kathleen from Canby, Oregon, who writes, many fear the current administration has inflicted irrevocable harm on our governing institutions and norms, and in the process, on our reputation abroad. The question is, what do you see as important early steps in reversing the damage done? And we'll put this one to Senator Bennett.
Thank you very much. What an excellent question. First of all, we have to restore our democracy at home. The rest of the world is looking for us for leadership. We have a president who doesn't believe in the rule of law. He doesn't believe in freedom of the press. He doesn't believe in independent judiciary. He believes in the corruption that he's brought to Washington, D.C., and that is what we have to change, and that's why everybody is up here tonight, and I appreciate the fact that they're up here for that reason. Second, we've got to restore the relationships that he's destroyed with our allies. Not just in Europe. He flew to the G20 last night and attacked Japan, Germany, and a third ally of ours without saying anything about North Korea or Russia. And when you've got a situation where you have a president who says something happened in the Straits of Hormuz, and the whole world doesn't know whether to believe it or not, that is a huge problem.
Oh, Mayor PC has the 20. Yeah, that's an oof indeed, Icy.
That's a perfect time for you to do another one of these down the line. And this is what this question is, which is, you're likely going to have to reset a relationship between America and another country or entity if you become president perhaps because of some relationship that you just mentioned about President Trump. What is the first relationship you like to reset as president? I'm going to go down the line and I'll start with Ms. Williamson.
Well, one of my first phone calls would be to call the European leaders and say, we're back. Because I totally understand how important it is that the United States be part of the Western Alliance.
I'm trying to get one or two words here. I hear you. Governor Hickenlooper.
You know, I talk about constant engagement. And I think the first country I would go to, and I understand they've been cheating and stealing intellectual property.
Yeah, I don't know about him. I don't like him too much.
He has not stood out tonight.
Yeah, no, he hasn't.
You've got to have relationships with everyone.
Mr. Yang, we're trying to squeeze in couple more things before we go to another break.
China.
China, we need to cooperate
Told
with them
ya.
on climate change, AI, and
Told
other
ya.
North Korea.
Thanks for the quickness, Mayor Buttigieg.
We
Dude.
have no idea which are our most important allies he will have pissed off worse between now and then. What we know is that our relationship with the entire world needs to change. And it starts by modeling American values at home.
Okay, Mr. Vice President, I'm trying to be quick.
We know NATO will
That's a
fall
good from
apart
here,
if we
Pete.
elect
Yep.
4 more years. It's the single most consequential alliance in the history of the United States.
Senator Sanders.
It's not one country. I think it is rebuilding trust in the United Nations and understand that we can solve conflicts without war, but with diplomacy.
Senator Harris.
All the members of the NATO alliance.
Senator Gillibrand.
President Trump is hell
No, he's not.
starting a war with Iran. My first.
What? No, he's not. He. Oh my gosh, dude.
Make sure we do not start an unwanted.
He's never said he's considered it.
Latin American country that's willing to have a conversation.
Gosh, I made a video. I made a video on.
That is just plain false.
For anybody that's interested, I made a video on the Iranian attacks. Check it out. My opinion has changed a bit on it since that video, thanks to Melgrasir. But so thank you to him if he's in the chat. I doubt he is, but
Of the last century. You voted for the Iraq War. You have since said you regret
he's
that vote.
never said they
But
would.
why should voters trust your judgment when it comes to making a decision about taking the country to war the next time?
Because once Bush abused that power, what happened was we got elected after that. I made sure the president turned to me and said, Joe, get our combat troops out of Iraq. I was responsible for getting 150,000 combat troops out of Iraq, and my son was one of them. I also think we should not have combat troops in Afghanistan. It's long overdue. It should end.
Didn't we pull people out of Afghanistan like 6 months ago? Somebody tell me if I'm right in chat. I thought we did.
We cannot go it alone in terms of dealing with terrorism. So I'd eliminate the act that allowed us to go into war and not the AUMF, and make sure that it could only be used for what its intent was, and that is to go after terrorists, but never do it alone. That's why we have to repair our alliances. We put together 65
Gang
countries
seems so nervous,
to
yeah.
make sure we dealt with
I mean, he's a
ISIS,
tech executive, so this is kind of out of his league, in my opinion.
and I know how to do it.
Senator Sanders, 30 seconds.
But you can also argue Trump ran as a businessman, so and he won. So you know, it's not totally counted out.
I helped lead the effort for the first time to utilize the
Alright guys, we're bringing on ArroWGamez. Jesse, you remember him, but the rest of the people might not. So we're bringing him on.
Let me be very clear. I will do everything I can.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Which would be far worse than disastrous war with Iraq.
Senator Sanders,
All right, guys.
Informed consent of the American
We got
people.
good news is you get more time to talk, but
All
I
right.
have to sneak in one more break.
Oh, break time. Let's wait till it cuts. Alright, cool. Yo, so what have you been thinking, Arrow?
Well, I think these guys definitely have like a better chance of competing against Trump
Oh, yeah.
than the people we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Arrow?
I'm doing good. How about you, Icy?
Welcome to the chat. I'm good.
Any standout candidates for you yet?
So, for Kirsten, she's just trying to ride, Biden. She wants a VP ticket with him. And then Eric Swalwell wants a VP ticket with Sanders. They're just riding for vice president. And then the two that really stand out to me, honestly, are Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I think Kamala Harris has the best chance, if I'm, like, being honest.
Yeah, she's been getting a lot of very loud applause from the audience.
Yeah, and she also came out right in the beginning. If you saw the beginning, she came out with a plan. Like, she was, first question they asked her, she gave them statistics and a plan. It was like economy, and she wasn't like, she did say that, you know, it's only working for the rich and we need it to work for everybody, blah, blah, blah. But she also had a plan, and she's like, people earning above this amount will get this amount, and, help and all that stuff. So she actually has a plan and stuff, had a plan for that. And then Andrew Yang was another person that had a plan, but Andrew Yang, he was a former tech executive. Trump was a former businessman and he won, so, don't count him totally out, but he has, excuse me, sorry. He hasn't been standout or anything. He's kind of just been,
there.
Andrew Yang. He's been there. It's like Marianne Williamson.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What?
Oh, I'm curious what you thought, Arrow, about Eric Swalwell, who has basically has the only standout moments he's had is he keeps going back to this pass the torch line about Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Well, he's clearly just trying to get vice president with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He's writing.
Wait, are you talking Swalwell? Wait, who?
Well, whoever. I don't even know what the guy's name is. Some of these are so. You know. But yeah, he keeps talking about Joe Biden. Joe Biden keeps smiling about it. Like that's not what you normally do if you're trying to beat someone in anything.
They make it so obvious that they're vice presidents.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Kirsten, she tries to run and be like, she doesn't take shots at anybody and she supports people, so it's obvious she's being vice president. As long as you're doing anything more than glancing at the feed or glancing at the stream, she's trying to get a VP ticket. But if you look at her, she's trying to act like she's not. She'll talk let me see how much time we got. Oh, we're back on. But
I'm curious what you thought, Arrow, real quick, about Marianne Williamson. Because going into this debate, no one kind of knew who she was. I mean, my grandma has read some of her weight loss books.
Yeah, she wrote a weight loss book, and she wrote
books.
And a woman's worth.
For the first 20 minutes of the debate, she did not get any speaking time, and then she kind of came out strong. Have you heard of this?
She's strong.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just think she's not a contender.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I actually do know Marianne Williamson. She actually she writes a lot of spiritual books, and my mom kind of knows her for that.
Yeah.
So I had done some previous research on her, and she's kind of out there. If you listen to the way she talks, she's very against the norm.
I'm sorry we haven't talked tonight about how we're going to beat
Now, I don't think has that big of a chance.
No chance at all.
She's made comments such as, referring to the border crisis as concentration camps and things like that, which I think is totally uncalled for. But, no, I don't think she has a chance. She's almost too far out there for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much... She has zero experience in politics, as an author, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, here she's talking now.
Yeah. I'm gonna unmute the stream now.
Love for political purposes. I will meet you on that field, and sir, love will win.
Ryan, thank you.
Senator Bennett. Thank you. My mom and her parents came to the United States to rebuild their shattered lives. In the old country that they could. 300 years before that, my parents' family came searching religious freedom here. The ability for one generation to do better than the next is now severely at risk in the United States, especially among children living in poverty like the ones I used to work for in the Denver public schools. That's why I'm running for president. I've had two tough races in Colorado by bringing people together, not by making empty promises. And I believe we need to build a broad coalition of Americans to beat Donald Trump, end the corruption in Washington, and build a new era of American democracy and American opportunity. This is going to be hard to do, but it's what our parents would have expected. It's what our kids deserve. I hope you'll join me in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Governor. I'm a small business owner who brought that same scrappy spirit to make Colorado one of the most progressive states in America. We expanded reproductive health to reduce teenage abortion by 64%. We were the first state to legalize marijuana, and we transformed our justice system in the process.
Marijuana.
We passed universal background checks in a purple state. We got to near universal health care.
Actually, I think at the end,
with the toughest methane regulations in the country, and for the last 3 years,
I want to have a quick little talk at the end once this debate closes about marijuana, and then I'll cut stream, but I'd like to see your guys' things with stream on.
The big progressive things everyone else is talking about. If we turn towards socialism, we run the risk of helping to re-elect the worst president in American history.
Thank you, Governor.
Senator Gillibrand, you have
No, the Democratic Party is kind of trying to distance themselves from
Socialism, yeah, because they know Trump's gonna take it and abuse it, and he's gonna win again.
Yeah, that's what they've been saying.
But our rights
And I think that guy's right on that.
By President Trump and the Republicans who want to repeal Roe v. Wade, which is why I went to the front lines in Georgia to fight for them.
The front lines.
As president, I will
Front
take
lines
on
of
the
murdering
fights that
babies.
no one
Yep.
else will.
It's.
I stood up to the Pentagon and repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I stood up to the banks and voted against the bailout twice. I stood up to Trump more than any other senator in the U.S. Senate.
I don't like Kirsten at all. I don't know about you guys. I just don't like her.
It doesn't take a lot of guts to stand up to Trump. I mean,
Yeah.
the entire Democratic Party is doing
Now
it.
it's not the time to be afraid of first. We need a president who will take on the big challenges, even if she stands alone. Join me in fighting for this.
Her whole thing is that she stands up to Trump, but that's what everyone says.
She also stands up to the front lines.
Big gut. I mean, I stand up to, Trump. I stand up to the NRA.
I stand up. I went to the front lines in Georgia because
And the right candidate to beat Donald Trump will be solving the problems that got Donald Trump
pro-life's a
elected.
thing.
And we'll have a vision of a
Yeah,
trickle-down
you know,
economy that is
it's
already
kind of.
underway. Thousands of disaffected Trump voters, conservatives, independents, and libertarians, as well as Democrats and progressives. I am that candidate. I can build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump.
I think this guy is really smart, but I don't know.
He's really smart. He just doesn't know how. Yeah, he doesn't know how politics works. He's not aggressive enough. He's.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to leave you with a couple.
Now, Kamala Harris, on the other hand.
We need
She
a
knows what she's
nominee,
doing.
Who has the ability to prosecute the case against 4 more years of Donald Trump, and I will do that. Second, this election is about you. This is about your hopes and your dreams and your fears and what wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's why I have what I call a 3 a.m. agenda. That is about everything from what we need to do to deliver health care to how you will be able to pay the bills by the end of the month. And when I think about what our country needs, I promise you, I will be a president who leads with a sense of dignity, with honesty, speaking the truth, and giving the American family all that they need to get through the end of the month in a way that allows them to prosper. So I hope to earn your support. Please join us at KamalaHarris.org.
Senator, thank you.
That's self-promoting, not on NBCNews.com. How dare you?
Nothing about politics is
I get to self-promote. Hey guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you enjoyed this.
to my family.
My turn. Follow me on Instagram. I hate liberal.
Leaving it where they would know where
All
to find it
lowercase.
in case I didn't come
No
back from
spaces.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, honestly though, guys, if you do enjoy this, I would
Marriage
really
that
appreciate a
exists
subscription.
By the grace of a single vote on the U.S. Supreme Court. I have the
And a
experience
like.
of guiding a community
Thank you.
where the per capita income was below $20,000 when I took office into a brighter future.
No, this guy, he reminds me a lot of Beto. Or I think they have a lot of
He does.
similarities.
He does.
Yeah. But Gage.
I want to be able to look back on these
Butt Gage. Buttigieg. It's Buttigieg.
and an end to endless war.
Buttigieg. Yeah. Or Buttigieg. I don't know.
They're both young guys, they're both white. They're both just kind of coming into politics.
Yeah.
Who are watching this debate are saying these are good
So
people.
I think they do have a lot of similarities with each other.
But how come nothing really changes? How come for the last 45 years wages have been stagnant for the middle class? How come we have the highest rate of childhood poverty? How come 45 million people still have student debt? How come 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of America? And here is the answer. Nothing will change unless we have the guts to take on Wall
Okay, so I was thinking this earlier. Can you imagine having Bernie as president and him just yelling the whole time?
You know how I tweeted that on Twitter? Like, yelling doesn't make you look good. He's like a tottering old guy who's yelling at everyone to get off his lawn, you know?
You darn teenagers, get off my property!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I am off the Wall Street. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah. He's nothing but a tottering, he's coming across as nothing but a tottering old guy. Joe Biden, who is a tottering old guy as well,
racist,
not coming off of that
and
as
white
Bernie Sanders,
supremacist.
to be honest.
Yeah. Decent people. He's the only president who has engaged and embraced dictators and stubbed their nose at our allies. I'm secondly running for president because I think we have to restore the backbone of America, the poor and hard-working middle-class people. You can't do that without replacing them with the dignity they once had. Lastly, we got to unite the United States of America as much as anybody says we can. If we do, there's not a single thing the American people can't do. This is the United States of America. We can do anything if we're together. So God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Look at the author clapping and nobody else. Oh, that's funny.
We want to thank all of the candidates last night.
Seriously, it takes guts to run and stick your neck out like this to you guys and to the 10 last night.
Oh yeah, it takes so much
Thank
guts.
the audience for completely
does,
ignoring
man.
our suggestion not to react.
And of course, thank you to everyone at the Adrian R. Center for hosting us here and our terrific audiences.
Is Lester Holt still a registered Republican?
Chuck and Rachel, I'm
This guy?
I doubt it.
In the center?
Let me check.
In the center?
No, the guy with the glasses.
On the very far left.
Far left, yes.
Yeah, I don't
Still a
know.
Republican.
He's still a registered Republican?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm checking Google Trends right now. Kamala Harris is actually the top trending search right now.
She is?
Yeah.
Man.
Hickenlooper's right after that, along with Pete Buttigieg and Marianne Williamson.
Yeah. On Twitter, Biden is just running away with things at 457,000 tweets. Kamala Harris, 296,000 tweets. And then close behind that, Marianne Williamson, 68,000.7 tweets. So, you know.
I mean,
but,
before tonight, I don't think anyone knew who she was.
Kamala?
No, she was a very niche kind of book author that my grandma knew about, your mom knew about, my mom knew about it.
Yeah.
But you had to have read her books. Like, she wasn't in the political sphere, if you will. She was in a different sphere, that kind of book sphere, if you will, you know?
Exactly. So that's why a lot of people didn't know her. Now, did you notice anything in particular that made her stand out?
No, she just kind of,
she
had
got
a couple
the talk
one-liners,
going.
and she spoke very strongly, and she
Yeah.
cut to the chase. She kind of, amid the other political candidates, like, mumbling and, kind of rambling on, she kind of, like, interjected and was very, like, posh and very, like, definitive in her responses. At one point, like, Joe Biden, earlier in the debate, Joe Biden was like, let me think about that. And then she, like, cut in with an answer that was very, definite. So she definitely made an impression on some people, but she definitely really did not stand out to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think she got the talk going and was kind of like a person that was there to get stuff happening, but she wasn't like, a person that's going to be involved. Like, she's a trigger. She's a trigger, and then the other people are the bullets. Okay?
Arrow, did you see the exchange between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that happened about midway through the debate, where Kamala Harris accused basically Joe Biden
of being a racist?
It was good.
I think that was one of the key moments in the debate.
Yeah, it was
where
a key
Joe
moment.
Biden was really put to the test, and I think he responded pretty well.
He did. In the end, I did notice he kind of backed off.
Yes.
But I think he got his point across. Kamala Harris is actually, according to Steven Crowder, 50% Indian.
Oh.
So, it's one of those things. But, yeah, I personally, he's not a racist. I mean, he ran with Obama.
Yeah, he ran with Obama.
Yeah, Joe Biden is not a racist. His comments that he made about working with segregationists were to demonstrate that, hey, I can get along with everyone, even those evil segregationists. And people on the left were kind of taking that way out of context and suggesting that he, hated black people or something.
Yeah.
Because he would work with segregationists. Joe Biden is not racist. He's kind of like that, tottering old, a little bit creep uncle that you have, like they're kind of like that.
I agree.
And that's who he is. He's everyone's kind of weird uncle. you know? And a lot of people on the left, I mean, a lot of people even on the right will say he's a great guy. Like, you know, his son, he had great sons. I think one of his sons passed away recently with cancer. He's not some evil, racist, nefarious, you know, figure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so here's something interesting.
Yeah.
Here's a live poll of the top searches on Google between the candidates. This is by Google, so I'd imagine pretty accurate. So as the debate starts, we're seeing Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden basically running away with it at first.
Mm-hmm.
But then as the debate's going on, all of a sudden, Marianne Williamson spikes to the top and Bernie Sanders spikes to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm not really sure if there was like an encounter between those two, but something happened all of a sudden where they literally switched positions.
That's weird. I mean, I guess she's the... Well, it could have been also because, hey, maybe I know that person. I don't know. And people did that because it seemed like everybody kind of knew that she was an author and knew that she wrote those spiritual books, but they never knew that she was running for the presidency.
Did Bernie do anything that made him, like, go down, though?
It's more so that he didn't do anything that made him go down.
Yeah, I just screamed the whole time. It was the same stuff. I think everyone already knows Bernie. They might be tired of him from last election.
I just feel like he had zero impact. He had an impact, of course, but it wasn't like standout. He wasn't standout and like I thought he was gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing in terms of, you know, Google Trends is essentially Marianne Williamson plateauing and then a huge spike, and then we're seeing Bernie Sanders kind of at the top, and then a huge drop. I don't know what that says for the future or the prospects of their electability. I don't really think Marianne Williamson has any shot of becoming president, but it certainly shows that she generated a lot of attention during this debate.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think one thing I wanted to say, somebody brought up marijuana in the debate. Do you guys remember? No. Icy, do you remember?
I mean, that being said, I didn't watch the whole thing, but yeah.
It was like
I don't
right
remember
at
someone
the end.
bringing up marijuana, but the key things that people brought up were health insurance, free college.
It was
They talked about abortion for 5 seconds.
I
don't know why.
I timed it. They
None
talked
of the
about
moderators
abortion.
asked tough questions about abortion.
Yeah, they didn't.
It was basically like, hey, what do you think about abortion? And then every Democratic candidate gave the stereotypical
Democratic candidate.
I will make sure that the people on the Supreme Court never overturn Roe v. Wade. One thing I was impressed with the moderators by was that one question the guy asked about immigration. He said, hey, you realize that Obama deported like thousands of immigrants too? And then they really had no response to that. Like, good for him. Like, I mean, you wouldn't really expect MSNBC anchors to ask that type of question, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna put this link in chat real quick. I think I can.
Yeah, go ahead and show everyone that on the stream.
I think I can put it in. Wait, am I able to? Let me check.
If you had to vote for a Democratic candidate, who would you vote for?
Kamala Harris, just because she's the only one that has a chance against Trump.
I would vote for Andrew Yang. He seems the most moderate.
Andrew Yang?
He was a technology CEO. He doesn't seem... I'm not sure about his, like, giving everyone $1,000.
Yeah.
But he seems like a decent dude, and he went on... He's been on some, Fox News, and he went on Ben Shapiro's show recently. He's showing that he's actually willing to engage
more moderate than most Democrats.
Moderates and conservatives who he disagrees with.
History.
He's definitely a better choice for me than some of the far left people like Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris and Kristen Gillibrand who are opposing these radical ideas like wiping away, like Bernie Sanders wants to wipe away every bit of student debt that there is. It's like $5 trillion. Stuff like that is very radical. So I'd be for more of a moderate candidate.
Yeah.
I know. I was actually gonna say just that. I think Andrew Yang is who I would vote for if I had to pick.
Alright,
Definitely.
so...
For all the reasons you stated.
So I'm gonna put, I'm gonna play this little video for stream for Democrat Debate 1 and then Debate 2. So here's the vid, guys. How the first debate went. And then... Tulsi Gabbard and Cory Booker changed a lot. And then Tulsi was up at the top. At the end, Tulsi and Beto were most searched. I don't know how. Elizabeth Warren apparently was in third, which I think she did one of the worst. She was terrible.
Yeah.
And then the second debate.
Hey, you should pull that the statistics up for your viewing audience to see. Link I put in Discord.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, it's on the main screen of my stream. Hey, stream.
Really? I just see the debate right now, or the afterthoughts of the debate.
Yeah, you just.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
full
sorry
screen.
guys. All right, here. Now can you see it? Oh wait, it'll be latency, but it should be good now. I keep on forgetting every time I make a change to make it go live. Oh yeah, but guys, in stream, if you guys enjoyed, please do drop a sub.
But yes, we're streaming all of these. A lot of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna be streaming these debates.
In the chat today, we had last night the undercard debate, if you will. We had about 3 people watching, and today we were up to about a consistent 8 people watching. So thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Stages, but let us know in the comments in the chat, what you enjoyed, what you didn't like, what we could do better, and just give us some honest feedback so we can continue making these debates enjoyable. And you'll probably see us show up on the channel once in a while in other events too, but we'll definitely be here for the debates, and we'll be here covering this up until 2020.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing every debate, especially, for example, like once it gets up to just Trump and the chosen Democrat. But I'm gonna give you guys 5 minutes. All right, give me a sec. Okay.